Today we have a truly special guest joining us, Thanasis, the brilliant mind behind Magic ID, a company that's paving the way for the future of AI agents and revolutionizing how we interact with technology. Thanasis is a visionary leader, a systemic thinker, and someone who's pushing the boundaries of what's possible by building a future where mundane tasks like sign-ins and verification will be a thing of the past. With a deep passion for privacy, user empowerment, and simplifying the digital world, he's leading the charge to a new economy driven by AI agents. Beyond his technical expertise, Thanasis has an incredible journey of personal and professional growth. And we can't wait to dive into his leadership insights, his vision for the future, and the lessons he's learned along the way. Thanasis, welcome to Growth Leaders Podcast. We're thrilled to have you with us today.
Thank you, Peter. Likewise, I'm thrilled to be here. I will try to live up to the expectations you just set for me. It's going to be tough, but yeah, I'm very excited to be here. I'm very excited to talk to you about myself and obviously why we're doing what we're doing at Magic.
Yes, that's great having you here. And you are under the classification of an entrepreneur. So we're going to listen a little bit into, the leadering behind you. So we're not going to deep dive into Magic ID, but of course you create your skills based on experience. Let me give insight what Magic ID could be for a beginner. So a potential customer, it could be me, is browsing on, for example, Google for the ideal solution. Say I'm looking for foldable bicycles. I find a review and I find a price comparison site, and finally I find the stuff I really want to have. But then wanting to buy, I encounter a series, there's sign-in forms and I need to put passwords, maybe in 2 steps to pay. And I actually get a little bit tired out of this. So this foldable bike, which I've been looking at, it actually passes by because I just find another one, which I actually was more interested. So the momentum is lost. And this is where Magic ID can solve this problem by getting automatically logged in. And that's only one scenario into this. I know there's many scenarios, but from a user, this could be a lot easier than it is today. Would that be a fair description for a beginner?
Absolutely. Actually, that was excellent. It's exactly. It covers a lot of what we do right now in our go-to-market phase. And this evolves into something much more holistic that we shouldn't necessarily touch upon now. But as you say, in the current phase, you would have that experience, that seamless experience as consumer. That's easier for you. It's secure. It's private. And I guess like one thing we can add is that the meta search engine or the price comparison website would give you that Magic ID on the background as you're trying to purchase your bike, right? So as an individual, you wouldn't necessarily be looking for that product, the Magic ID product. We are basically under the hood enabling the price comparison website to give you a better experience while it respects your privacy.
Yeah.
So it is a B2B product in that sense. That is one thing to add.
And that's what we want. The technology guys, solving those problems so the user can have a great experience. Looking back, what personal experience had the biggest impact on shaping who you are as a leader today, leading Magic ID? Looking back, what has, where did it go right? Where did it go wrong? And what is it?
Yes. I think there is a multiplicity of occasions, but generally I say I was very, very fortunate to grow up around people who were leaders. So, and that manifested itself in a few areas of my life. So from my family, but predominantly also from playing sports. So I used to play competitive basketball when I was in Greece, and I've met a couple dozen actually of inspirational leaders from teammates who actually went up to play to the NBA even. And when I was 16, we won our first national championship that year with Aris, my basketball team, under 19 basketball team. And we had an amazing coach. And it was a Greek coach who studied in the US. So he brought a lot of US influence. He made me believe that anybody can be a leader, that being a leader is obviously a combination of things, but anybody can have some natural tendencies and then cultivate the rest by doing certain things, doing certain routines, reading about it, having the right people in your life. And that was Dimitris Kyriakou, that was his name. the codes.
Yeah. And what you're saying here is also very important things. I can look back on my background, the foundation of being a CEO moving forward has actually been the sports, being a coach, being a trainer, having, hundreds of presentation in my sport, which is sailing, and
Yes,
taking care of kids and grown-ups. And then you
yes,
just change it to what you actually do in your grown-up life. So I think that is a really great way, an example. So on a day-to-day basis, what
yes.
keeps you mostly inspired? Is it what?
Good question. So I think inspiration is very important. So
Hmm.
what keeps me inspired? Actually, I'm generally a person who loves a good story. Since I was a kid, I used to like read this magazine called Focus, was about technology and all these gadgets and the companies that are created. And I was like, wow, this is amazing. They're creating something much bigger than us, something that actually takes people forward. Um, and I always had in mind that, I would like to do something like that. I didn't know what it was. Um, when I was 24, I moved to Amsterdam. I left Greece.
Hmm.
And yeah, when I left, I moved to Amsterdam. I find the opportunity. I can actually probably do anything I can imagine. And maybe I can actually do something interesting. And then I got a job at Onfido, which is where this all
Hmm.
started. And in 2019, I was traveling Latin America and I was diagnosed with testicular cancer, which I'm perfectly fine now. I did a round of chemo and I did the whole thing, and that created more urgency in my life. So after that, I wanted to expedite things. I wanted to move faster, and going back to other leaders, because I think you do need a lot of leadership in your
Hmm.
life. You need role models and you need to be inspired by others. I had the opportunity to work in this project in 2019 at Onfido, which is of course called Portable ID. And the thing that inspired me back then and still inspires me today is the CTO of my company, Jacoby, who was the head of engineering of Portable ID at Onfido. He sat me down for a lunch, the first time I met him, and he told me, we're building Portable ID to make people free citizens of the web. And I didn't know what that meant. I didn't really
Hmm.
understand what it meant at that point, technically. But I thought it's so cool. I thought it's so amazing that we're actually working towards something that
Hmm.
will free people from using big tech platforms, from being stuck in, using 10 websites to do their jobs, because that is the root cause for a lot of problems we're facing today as a society and economy. That still motivates me daily. That thing, that free citizens of the web, that disintermediation of big centralized power
Hmm.
still motivates me.
Yeah. And there's always room for great thinking below these giants because there's so much to be improved. So what has been your most surprising challenge now you're faced with building Magic ID? I know I've been building companies, and the only thing I can say, it's not easy and it does not always go the way you want it to be. And
You're
you
right.
think you have the smartest idea, but you still have to change a little bit and so on. So what
Yeah.
has been your biggest challenges so far? I mean, it's a young company, 22, and you're up to
Mm.
2 years now.
Mhm. I think the biggest challenge by far was getting this up and running to the point that we had the right people on the bus. And that was the big on the ship, whatever, maybe in
Mm.
sailing language. That was the toughest part because when I quit my job, I decided to take the leap and quit my job without having anyone. I realized I need to do that. I need to do that now because I can do it now. I don't have kids. I don't have as much responsibility. I can actually give it a go. And then the time it actually took me to find the right people, the right person to be my partner from a passion perspective, so from a mindset perspective, but also from a technical capabilities perspective that I can actually see that future and start building towards that future. I think that's it.
And how did you manage the financials? Because it's not an easy task starting up if you don't have your own buffer.
Yeah, I spent all my money basically. That's the story actually. So I had some money in the bank, and I thought, I have some cash. We had just bought the flat with my partner at that point, so we were like sort of secure. We're paying low rent, so I had some cash on the side. I was like, I can do this for 6 to 9 months if I'm careful. And we actually raised the pre-seed round 2 weeks before I ran out of cash. So
That's good.
it was very stressful in the end, And I think it's going back to sports. I'm sure you have experienced that yourself with
Mm,
sailing. Like sometimes when you're with your back against the wall, that's when you are the most efficient and effective. And I do have that a
mm,
lot. I'm trying to be less of a procrastinator and be more proactive. But I find myself
mm,
that when the ball is hot, when I really have no other option, I tend
mm.
to perform the best.
And if you do a research of many of the more successful companies, I promise you, the majority of them has nearly been broke all, at a certain time where
Yes.
things really crashed and then they got to it. Yeah, now we just do it. And then it took off. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's
So what,
interesting.
so what is your superpower then as a leader and how does it help you?
I like that question. Because I think it's a double-edged sword, my answer actually. So I'm ridiculously persistent. So when I believe in something, and maybe I don't believe in something straight away, and I need to build my own conviction myself, right? But when I believe in something, I'll just not give up. I'll not give up trying. And in that sense, what we are doing at Magic, we were doing at on Firo to some extent. It was a predecessor on Firo's portable ID. That's how I got the bag. It was a predecessor. Due to some corporate politics and a big founder, there was a hostile takeover on Firo's management change. The founders left. This project died. And then while on Twitter, I started exploring how could I actually do that, and I started figuring out who can join me and do that. I realized this has to happen. So while at Onfido, I tried to start it up. It didn't work out, and then I left to work for a decentralized identity company in the blockchain because that was also a big hype at that point. It was 2021.
Mm,
And then that also didn't work out because I realized it's a dead end and I didn't actually believe in the leadership. So then I left, I quit my job there and I tried to start again. And I almost
mm.
ran out of money. And I had to change a couple partners in the process because we couldn't align from technical perspective or from passion perspective, or it wasn't the right timing. But I kept going. And then we're far from successful, but it's actually shaping up now. We have a product and it works, and we have clients who are paying for it. So I don't think I'll stop. It's becoming more and more real, and more time I put in it.
Mm.
It's a product, and now the vision becomes clearer. And
So
I
the
think that is my
super
superpower.
persistence,
Super
superpower is
persistent. Yeah.
persistence. Yeah, but that's great. And I can tell you, you're gonna need it.
Yes, I
But
know
that,
that.
but that, but that persistency also drives motivation because we see, that it's moving forward. There's some backslashes, but there's also the positives. So, when you have that persistence, so how is your decision making coming up? When there are multiple things coming, going left, going right, or yeah, we have to take this. Or how does that work? How does your mind work?
Yeah,
Are you discussing,
good
or are you
question.
thinking, or is that now this is the
Good
way we
question.
do it, or how do you do it?
Um, So generally, I am quite a heated person. Like I tend to be very emotional, and when I say emotional, I used to be much more than now, but I realized that that was holding me back. And when you react with emotion, you react abruptly and quickly. So actually, I had to put a lot of effort into changing that and making, like, forcing myself to observe but not react. And I'm still not that good at it, but I'm getting better. And I think it's a combination, what you're saying, it's a combination of observing and absorbing a situation and letting it settle. So I'll have a practice where I'll try to, if I have an email, for example, that about a decision about something going on with the client, with the product or whatever, I will read it and then I'll let it sit for 2, 3 hours, maybe even sleep on it. That helps a lot because it calms you down. So that is one thing about pressure. Um, so that's the other great thing. So now we have an office, and I'm sat with our CTO and my partner every day, and I am, like, I cannot describe how fortunate because of his experience. He's also started a couple businesses himself. We used to work
Mm,
together, so we know each other. We both know that our heart is at the right place, so we both want this to work, and this is what drives us. And also, he's older than me. He's very experienced with business already. So many times he's literally my sounding board. Like, I'm just
mm,
will explain. I feel like he's not as nervous as I am, maybe because he's been around it before. But many times I will be nervous about something and I'll just calm me down after, 5, 10 minutes of a conversation. I think the urgency I have as a 30-year-old entrepreneur is not the same as he's like 20 years older than me or so. So
Mm.
he's experienced that. He's experiencing that in a different way at the moment.
And I think it's good to build those bonds and relations because the higher you sit up in an organization, the more lonely you're going to be. So having those relations where you actually can discuss with people and
Definitely,
share and
definitely.
trust. So what is success for you when you paint that painting in your mind?
Yeah.
What is on that painting?
Yeah, I love that question because it's so challenging, like it's so difficult to define success. So I'm actually gonna try and explain. There are two factors to it, right? So I think the first factor is where would you want to go? And from that point of view, we want to build a company that makes a difference. So we want to build a company that actually frees people from that centralization. And that is going to be extremely tough because it's a really big problem to tackle. But the good thing with it is that it's actually going to draw a lot of people to us. Hopefully, people who are passionate about it, smart people, will come and join us and they will help us do it. So that is one side. Would like to get there. But then the big, I suppose, caveat is not losing yourself as you get there and not losing yourself in the way that what I experience right now, I change a lot. Like I change a lot and I change very fast. So if I look at myself 6 months ago, or if I look at something I produced 6 months ago, or if I read my notes from 6 months ago, I feel like I'm a different person. I feel like the change is so rapid that I want to have some stables in my life. So like I have some constants in my life, like my partner, my
Mm.
family, and I try to make them hold me accountable. Because if you change that fast, how do you ensure that you don't reach a goal of business success, so to speak, and then you look back and you're a completely different person that you're actually not that proud of? I think that is crucial, right?
Mm.
So like we shouldn't
So
sacrifice ourselves
yeah.
for business
So,
success.
so, so if we take this thinking now, we move you now, it's 2034. You've just
Okay.
turned 40. So
Okay.
what does the painting look like then?
What does, sorry?
What does the painting look like? Your
Yes.
imaginary success
Yes.
of Thanasis here.
Yes, I think it has to be defined in some way from the company's goal. So if you think about what big tech is doing, I think the future we want to build, and if we manage to do that to some extent, that will be success for me, is a future where you can get things done actually spending the least amount of time in front of a screen. So you have something like a companion that works for you and not for Google, not for big tech. It's yours, and you can decide, what AI you want to plug in, and what information you want to share via that non-human customer, your entity, your companion, with other non-human customers or businesses of other people and so on. But the outcome should be you don't spend time doing the mundane things. You don't spend time in front of a screen. You just ask it something and it does it for you. So if we manage to flip that paradigm, that is big success. But going back to the second part of it is also I don't want to. I want to have a family. I want to have kids. I want to
So
be in good terms with my partner. I want to say hopefully my parents are well and going, and I want to spend time with them. So I know that all these things don't easily balance, and it's going to be tough.
it's gonna be a very bright picture you're painting. There's a lot of
Yeah, I
love in
hope
it.
so.
Yeah.
Yeah, there is a lot of love in it. It's important. Otherwise, it's not worth
Yes.
it, right? If
No.
you're a lonely and very successful businessman, I don't know. For me, it doesn't feel the same.
No,
Yeah.
you're so right. So one final question before we go into some rapid fire questions here.
Mm.
I mean, starting a company is a tough decision. So what message would you like to give to upcoming leaders to make
Mm.
impact in the tech industry? That's the one question. The other question, what you do know now, would you still start your company from scratch? Well, more or less
Uh,
from scratch. But
yeah,
take the
yeah,
first
yeah,
one,
yeah.
the advice or message you would leave to upcoming leaders who wants to make impact in the tech industry.
Yes. So if I am to give any advice to someone, which I don't think I am that person, right? I think there's a lot of way for me to go. But there is only one thing I could give to someone who wants to do that is there is nothing more important than finding your passion. When I was a kid, I remember I had a friend who was 16 and he was telling me passionately he wants to be a lawyer every single day almost. And I was like, oh, I don't really care to study anything, but this guy is so interested in it. Like he's studying day and night for it and he's enjoying it. So I think finding your passion is crucial because it fulfills us, it makes us more complete people. I think that is the number one reason. But then how is that related to business and aspiring leaders or aspiring entrepreneurs? Is that it's so tough to do anything at that scale, and especially starting out something from zero to go to one, something that doesn't exist. So your life is changing. You spend much more time working, endless hours working. You're always thinking about it. So if you're not passionate about it, I can't see how you can make it work. There are many times I would have quit. Honestly, there are many times I would have quit. And actually, one of them was pretty recent. Was in February. I was ready to quit, but I didn't. So if it wasn't something I cared about, I probably would have so far.
But
So I think that's
we do
important.
know now that you got some superhero,
Persistence.
persistency behind you. So
Yeah.
that's gonna help you. No, I think that the passion, as you say, is super great advice. So some rapid fire questions to you, Thanasis. One book or podcast you would recommend to everyone?
Tough one. I would say To Builders and Creators, Creativity INC by the co-founder of Pixar. Amazing, amazing book. It shows you how, I think it demystifies, how in movies we think that there is one big moment and a paradigm shift happens. That now doesn't exist. And that book is a perfect example to show that big things take time and they're iterative. They just evolve and evolve and evolve. Amazing.
Right. If you could live anywhere in the world, where would it be?
Yeah, that's a tough one. I love being in London. I don't like the weather. If I could have the same circle and experience with people I can reach in London, then I'd definitely choose Greece. It's an amazing place, but I just cannot have what I have here.
Yeah. So that's coming back to people around you again. That's great.
Yes.
And what's the one tech gadget you cannot live without?
I don't have that many gadgets, surprisingly. I'd say my laptop. I love working on my laptop.
And what's your go-to activity to relax and unwind?
Interesting. So I like video games. I
Okay.
try to distance myself from them because I'm quite addicted. I used to be quite addicted in video games. So I play massive online battle arena games, so like League of Legends sort of games, which is a very famous one. But recently I found one that lasts only 10 minutes per round. So I can play a couple of rounds, just wind down and only spend under half an hour on it. And it's got a proper nostalgic element because it's based on Pokemon. So when I was a teen and a kid, I used to play all the Pokemon games. So that is actually what I do to wind down. 20, 30 minutes of that, just get focused on this, kind of forget about what was troubling me.
Thank you. It's great having you, Thanasis, and talking to you, not
My
going too much
pleasure.
into the business, but actually listening to your insights. So thank you so
My
much being
pleasure.
part of the Growth Leader.
My pleasure. Thank you. Thank you for having me, Peter. I really appreciate it, and I
Thanks.
had a really good time.
Thank you.